Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of One Take. Wow, so today we have one of my favorite creative directors at the agency. What can I tell you? Adilson Xavier was our creative director at Giovanni Fulcon Building in Brazil. Giovanni was one of the most creative agencies. I think at some point we were the eighth largest agency. Adilson had the good luck of living in Rio, and as I often say in Portuguese, eu acho que sou carioca de coração. I absolutely love Rio. It was a beautiful city, a beautiful agency, and now he's still there. I mean, Adilson writes scripts for television, and today he's writing books. So, Adilson, bem-vindo, muito obrigado, and that's it. That's all I remember.
Thank you, Marcelo. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being with us. Huh?
Well, let's start with the obvious because everybody our age has experienced many, many, many decisive moments. From winning a big client to losing a client to opening up offices. I still remember when Giovanni opened Brasilia.
Mm-hmm.
So our lives are really made up of decisive moments. However, all of us also have one or two moments that basically hit us like a hammer, and you say, oh my God, my life really changed at that point. What was your professional decisive moment? How did the new Adilson come
Yeah.
up?
Well, I believe that my decision moment was when I chose my profession. And I was a guy with so many things in my head. I was crazy about music, and I played the guitar as a songwriter. And my first dream was to be a famous singer or composer. That's my choice. And also movies. Movies, I love the movies. But my father always said, there's one thing you love, and the other thing that will pay your bills. So try to study something that may guarantee your money to eat. And then
Yes.
I studied law and business administration. And for 5 years, I was a lawyer. And this, while being a lawyer and a student, I was composing and showing my work to. I record some songs. I was in an interview with a very famous disc jockey, Paulo Giovanni, his radio program as a singer. And at, up to that moment, I didn't know anything about advertising. I loved to write. Law was a choice because lawyers write a lot. So, okay, stupid, but that was the truth. And someday I decided to write a song for a big supermarket chain. They were known by being very happy people and a smiling supermarket. And I wrote a jingle, and they liked the jingle, and this jingle was successful. And the signature became the official signature of the company. And I thought it was good. Advertising was very similar to art. You have to touch the emotion of people. You have to choose some message to people to grab. Okay, I loved it. And then I was introduced to an advertising agency. Oh, it's funny. And they made some commercials with my song. And that was movie. So I had music and movie in the same profession. And it paid a lot. I would have money to. So this is the
Yes.
key moment of my life. I'm like, oh, I can do this. I believe I have the tools to succeed in advertising. So music was the key thing in my life, and this jingle for Senda Supermarkets was my beginning. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. But on the other hand, yeah, it was the time when advertising was not only a fun career, it paid well.
Yeah.
I I have absolutely no complaints about that. And for some of us, it allowed us to travel and to see new countries and meet interesting people. You might remember one of the first meetings at Giovanni
Mm-hmm.
when, oh my God, I had the biggest fight ever with Mauricio about media, and we closed the door, and all you could hear was swear words. It was great. You met super interesting people.
Yeah. This was
Yeah,
another very important thing. We deal with smart people, people with a sharp
yeah,
minds, and it's healthy. It keeps you alive. It
yes,
was like this at, at, at that time. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's another thing that I tell people when they say, "Oh, corporate, whatever." I think we were lucky. We had very interesting and intelligent people on our client side.
Yeah.
I mean, these people were trained, and these people were smart, and they had focus.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I believe it. I totally, and I miss those days every so often.
Yeah.
So then the other part, well, if anybody listening doesn't know, like all of the changes in Brazil, then that person must be sleeping under a rock. Brazil went through some of the most creative moments ever when we bought Giovanni, and then the advertising that emerged out of Brazil was incredibly powerful,
Yeah.
very visual, but at the same time very powerful. And it was a country that evolved very, very, very rapidly. I mean, it was tremendous. But within all of those changes, what changed? And we had been talking a bit about this. So, what specific change would you have never guessed in 1,000 years?
Well, in those golden years, advertising was part of culture. So people discussed advertising in the bars, you know, and the brands want to be part of this conversation, and we had intelligent clients building a reputation, building brands. At a given moment, it's not clear when, but we mistrust. When a client asks an agency to represent him, he has to trust the agency. And this was broken somehow. Uh, when it happened, we were not anymore partners of the client. We became providers. We became
Yes,
employees.
vendor.
Employees.
Yeah.
And this is disrespectful. So at the same time, we missed trust, we missed respect. And the degree of intelligence in the meetings was going down, 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 and we ended up surrounded by stupid people and trying to defend the obvious and to explain very old concepts. And this became very boring. When I entered in the advertising market, it was impossible to imagine that we would go so down in this uh, 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 level of intelligence.
Yeah. Um, I hear you. I have pretty much, maybe not such a strong opinion, but I think that the death of advertising began when we lost the global vision of the brand.
Yeah,
We had been talking about this before. Like, you launch Traquinas, great,
yeah,
but you become involved everywhere in
yeah,
Traquinas. You try the products, you talk to distribution people, you talk about trends in the
yeah,
distribution. Where are we? Where are not we? what kind of messaging do we have?
Hmm.
Maybe even messaging for the different sizes that we have,
Yeah.
100 grams, 400 grams, whatever. But we saw everything. We even participated in trade deals with the supermarkets. It was a very unique, coherent global vision, right?
Yeah.
And then the industry kind of like fragmented. And then some people bought, little SEO here, this, that, but few people from the agency side would see the entire global aspect of moving a product.
Hmm.
Very B2C, yes. I
Yeah.
mean, but you and I, we have cut our teeth, as they say,
Yeah.
in B2C. We know consumers.
Yeah. And what was a building your what are you building together became a very short term competition. You have to get these results right now because I need my bonus. That was the frame, So nobody cares about what we are building. We are just making this year result because I need my bonus. Next year we think another thing, and this is destroying the core of the brands. So it's a pity.
No, and as long as I have you here, because Brazil was also like its own separate universe in many ways.
Hmm.
One of the biggest changes at some point in not in total advertising, but yes in media, it affected
Hmm.
us who ran media units, but they never happened in Brazil. That we never had un biro da media,
Yeah.
so it was like two completely different worlds. One of the big changes was the entry of the procurement department into media.
Hmm.
So media was then evaluated the same way that steel or rubber or whatever. Oh, I'm buying, $2 million worth of media, and then what am I getting? And there was no vision from the procurement department
Hmm.
as to how media is effective.
Hmm.
So it went from effective, we get results, to efficient.
Yeah.
Oh, we're there for the price. Did that ever happen in Brazil? Did you suffer that in Brazil? Were you more or less spared?
Yeah. Well, no, it's more or less the same thing. I think this is a worldwide phenomenon. Uh, Maybe that's why AI is so important now, because what human intelligence is doing now is so silly that any machine can do. You don't need any sensibility. So I was saying another day to a colleague, uh, if you think that AI may do what you are doing, you are a very bad professional. You are give up, do another thing.
I am stealing that phrase.
Yeah, and
I'm stealing that.
people who believes that is giving up the treasure of communication. That is knowing the human nature. It's it's touching emotion of other people, and no machine can do this.
Yep.
Now, I'm not contesting the importance of technology, but there are things we are talking about seduction. And seduction is not possible if you don't have a lot of ingredients that no machine can reproduce. Yeah.
That is very true. Yeah, I actually, I mean, yes, 100% true. If you think AI can replace you, you're probably a really bad
Yeah.
professional to begin with. And yeah, the seductive part, everything in advertising is a seduction, even when the product is very feature driven, like toothpaste.
Yeah.
We've all worked in toothpaste, all of us at HCV.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our home is toothpaste. But even then, there's a certain seduction that, like you don't brush your teeth just for it or for health reasons. You also want to look appealing, fresh breath,
Yeah.
be part of society. So yeah, I totally agree with you. So now you're writing books, some scripts.
Yeah.
Was that your answer to advertising going boring or what?
I left. I gave. Okay, I don't want this anymore. You spend more than 30 years doing something that you are proud of, and at a given moment they ask you to do things that you disagree. Okay, this is silly. You don't need me to do this. Ask your nephew to do this. Or neighbor, anybody. You don't need to pay so much for it. And I became ashamed of the work. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. When you start creating something to be approved in a research, not by real people. So do this, put a dog in this because research they love dogs. Research love toddlers. And I'm not creating for research. I'm creating for real people. When I saw this happening, it's not from me anymore. I don't want to, because it's becoming very similar to law. So boring as my law times when I gave up being a lawyer.
I hear you, man. Yes. So just kind of like in closing kind of thing. Okay, so we're both out of advertising. We both think advertising is either boring or absolutely dead in my
Mm-hmm.
case. However, imagine for a moment that you were talking to the CEO of a large advertiser, or you were talking to the CEO of a large advertising agency, somebody up there. And that person is interviewing people who are like, I don't know, 28, 35, maybe 40. And
Mm-hmm.
then they're interviewing somebody who is old. And we
Mm-hmm.
spoke about old
Yeah.
these days.
Uh,
What would you say is the big value of older workers?
well, old is an old concept. Uh, our generation, uh, uh, let's go back to the 60s. Huh? Uh, don't mind if the end of 50s, 60s, or 70s, but in that moment, we invented youth. Youth was not a player in the political words, in everything, in the behavior, in general behavior. And all of a sudden, the youth, the power, young power, became very visible. Uh, Look at the Beatles, what the Beatles did is amazing. There's a new documentary about the Beatles, and I'm never tired of watching them because they are a huge example of how to make a revolution. And we are that generation. We are the Beatles generation that changed everything. And now we are invented how to be old. It's the same generation. We, we are a continuous revolution. What an old person now is very different from an old person 50 years ago. It's easy
Yes.
to see. We have our behavior is different. Uh, our strength is different. And
Yeah.
our way to look to the words is very different. So when somebody tells you are old, it's a label that comes from outside. We don't have to keep this label in our front, you know. Uh, we have to tell this CEO that no, we saw many things changing, and now the world is going to another big change. For somebody who is seeing the first change in life, this is an earthquake. But we saw many changes since radio that would be destroyed by cinema, and then cinema would be destroyed by television, and then computer will destroy. Every new thing seems to destroy all the past, and it's not true. History is there to prove us. It's not true. We have to
Yeah.
conciliate all the difference. And with the big difference now, there are many more old people in the world than it was before. Now we are a big force in the markets, and you have to know
Yes,
how to talk to these people because they have the money and have more time to spend the money, and they don't spend money only buying medicines. They
that's true.
they travel, they have a real active life, and they need to be treated not as old people but as active people. I would tell this, and I believe this.
Me too. Yeah. What can I tell you? Yes, I absolutely believe. But I like that perspective. I had never heard that before, and I think it's a really valuable contribution. Yeah, we are the generation that invented youth
Yeah,
as a big thing. Now we're reinventing old
yeah.
because
And if you
absolutely.
compare the youngsters of today with the youngsters we were in the 60s, oh, come on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Uh,
I used to tell some of my daughter's friends, who were
yeah,
like early 20s.
yeah.
I was already the head of international copywriters in Spain for Kenyon and Eckert
Uh-huh.
at 22 and a half. At 22 and a half, I
Yeah.
was already launching cars and
Uh-huh.
redoing airlines and stuff. And they're doing nothing.
And
So, yeah,
in the same company, if you have this 22 guy with an older guy, help each other, the potential you have
oh, it's immense.
okay, the guy, the young guy knows all the technologies, is a good, uh, it's very good in pressing buttons, but and it may give some content to those buttons. Okay, this, what do you mean when you do this? What are you building when you step like this? And this planning vision is a lot easier for an old guy than for a young guy.
Right. Well, I think it's been earth shaking talking to you. It's been absolutely great. Uh, I mean, you have added tremendously to the whole idea of how to get old, and it's always a pleasure to reconnect with you. So I really want to thank you for joining us. Muito obrigado.
Well, the
Eu estou esquecendo do meu português.
well, the pleasure is all mine, and I apologize for my English. Sometimes I get confused with the words, but I hope everybody understood what I said.
Absolutely, they will. Thank you very much, Adilson. It was a real pleasure, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. The same.
Thank you. Bye bye.